Let's check traffic now, 2:15, then back to In-Depth. Tom Tran.
We've got two SIG alerts in place. The first one, northbound side of the 101 at Las Virgenes Road. The number 1 and 2 lanes are blocked. You can see the slowing start back at Parkway Calabasas. Let's check in with Brian Douglas. He's taking a look at the other SIG alert.
R110 northbound at PCH completely shut down. Deadly crash involving a motorcyclist here. You're being diverted off onto PCH. Your alternates, Wilmington to the east, Vermont to the west. Take either of those up to Sepulveda, and from there you can rejoin that 110. Tom?
Southbound side of the 710, very busy trying to get into Long Beach from Willow, jammed up all the way down to Ocean Boulevard. Your next report, 225. More traffic reports more often. Tom Trey at KNX 1070 News Radio.
You're listening to KNX In Depth along with Mike Simpson. I'm Charles Feldman.
Reopening the economy as infections and deaths continue to spread is a recipe for lawsuits, a lot of them. Floodgates haven't opened yet, but when it comes to liability questions and COVID-19, you can rest assured the courts and the lawyers will be getting busy.
Now, there are a lot of complicated issues of liability when it comes to coronavirus infections. Many of them will almost certainly be challenged in lawsuits, both big and small. So we've got two tort law experts. That's not easy to say. Two tort law experts.
Don't push it.
I know.
Watch me do it again.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to see if I could. That we are going to talk about how this is going to all shake out, or at least how they think it's going to shake out. Gregory Keating teaches tort law at USC Law School, and John Goldberg teaches tort law at Harvard Law School. Gentlemen, thank you both for being with us. So let's start, Gregory, with you. Hypothetical. Somebody, 20, 25-year-old, goes to a big party, even though their local government, their state says you should stay sheltered in place. They socialize with 20, 30 other people. They're not wearing masks. One of them comes down with symptoms, goes back home. Maybe they live with their parents. The parents get it, die. Did that person kill their parents?
Well, that question answers itself, I suppose. They appear to have infected their parents with the virus, which then killed their parents. I don't think it's a tort liability situation, but I would imagine that they would feel intense guilt if they're a normal person.
But is there a legal issue potentially there?
Well, yes, although it's hard to imagine the parents of state actually bringing a suit against the child. I mean, you can imagine some esoteric things. For example, there are inheritance cases, that famous one that says, Rigsby Palmer, you can't kill someone to inherit the estate of theirs from them, that you may not profit from your own wrongs, so you're disbarred, or not disbarred, but you're disinherited. You're barred from the inheritance you would otherwise get. I can imagine that arising on these circumstances. I don't think it's really a compelling case for a wrongful death action, particularly because the wrongful death action would have to be brought by perhaps the child who's lost the companionship and is in no position to bring that claim.
John Goldberg, let's say I go to work because I'm forced to go to work because we've opened things back up. I get sick at work. I am pretty sure that it was work and me being there that made this happen. Can I sue my workplace?
Thanks for having me. Probably not. In most states, and all states, in fact, the tort system for workplace injuries has been replaced by workers' compensation, which is a benefit scheme where you basically say, okay, I've been injured at work. Instead of suing my employer, I apply for benefits, kind of insurance coverage. I'll get compensation, a modest amount of compensation if I miss some work, lose some money, if I have some medical bills, but it's not going to be a tort suit. And, of course, you're going to have to prove that you actually did get sick at work, which will often be a challenge.
Well, Gregory, I'm a particularly, litigious person. I get this. I want to sue somebody. Who do I sue?
So here's the problem you have. You have a great deal of difficulty in a normal circumstance identifying who you caught the virus from. If you can clear that hurdle, you then have to establish that they behaved negligently. But, you know, in the normal circumstance, you can't identify who you caught a virus from. It's perfectly true as a matter of general tort law that everyone has a duty of reasonable care not to negligently infect other people with diseases. But the only area in which you see robust litigation about that is sexually transmitted diseases, because in other circumstances, the normal flu, for example, you have a great deal of difficulty. It's essentially impossible to identify who gave you the disease or the virus, and you can't clear that hurdle even before you can reach the question of whether or not they conducted themselves carefully. So if you just go out and about as we come out of lockdown and go to the dry cleaners, go to the car wash, go to the bank, and you find yourself coming down with COVID-19, I don't think you're in any position to identify where you got it and who you got it from. So I don't think you have anyone to sue.
Seems there are more hurdles out there than some people thought that they would have to jump over. So, guys, stay with us. We're back in 1 minute here on KNX In Depth.
If you need a new appliance now, the Home Depot has the appliance help you can count on. Download the Home Depot app or visit homedepot.com to search for savings on top brands like Samsung. With ratings and reviews to give you confidence, special buy savings, and free delivery, you'll get the appliances you need without even leaving home. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. Free delivery on purchases of $396 or more. Continental U.S. only.
This is your personal information on your laptop. And this is what happens when you connect to the coffee shop Wi-Fi. Or buy something with your smartphone. Your information can ping-pong all over the place and be exposed to cybercriminals. More threats demand more protection. That's why Norton and LifeLock are now part of one company. Norton 360 with LifeLock provides all-in-one membership for your cyber safety that gives you device security, identity theft protection, a VPN for online privacy, and more. No one can prevent all cybercrime and identity theft, but Norton 360 with LifeLock is your ally in today's connected world. After all, your info isn't going to stop bouncing around anytime soon. Sign up today for Norton 360 with LifeLock and save 25% or more off your first year by going to norton.com/join. That's norton.com/join to save 25%.
We're back on KNX In Depth. Mike Simpson and Charles Feldman.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said today that he will insist on liability protections for the coronavirus relief legislation. He says he's trying to prevent, in his words, an epidemic of lawsuits as the economy reopens and as the virus is expected, unfortunately, to spread. Our tort law experts remain with us on In Depth, Gregory Keating over at USC and John Goldberg over at Harvard. So from our discussion a minute or two ago, it seems like in terms of litigation, evidence is going to be one of the sticking points. How do you prove who gave you the infection to the satisfaction of a court? So now let's up the ante, because with technology being what it is, and with some countries, as you probably know now, insisting, this country's now on the verge of experimenting with phone technology where you could actually pinpoint people's movements. You could tell whether or not you've been exposed to a person just by passing them on the street who was registered as having had the infection. Does it become easier now, this litigation, potential litigation, as it becomes easier to track all of this down? Why don't you take a crack at that one, John?
Sure. It might. Again, the problem is, as Greg was saying a moment ago, the problem is you may well find what the technology shows you is that you've been exposed to a lot of carriers, which we hope is not the case, but easily could be, and then you're sort of in the same problems we were talking about a moment ago. But I think there are scenarios where it's plausible that a case could be made on the causation issue. So if there's an outbreak, so somebody opens up an arena or a club or something like that, and it's a relatively isolated event. Most other things are closed, but that one's open, and a bunch of people go to it. And it turns out that the people who went there and the people right around them end up being infected at a much higher rate than the general population. Now you've got the basis for going into court and saying, look, statistically, it seems pretty likely that given the pattern of infection, my infection came from this event. And so that might get you over the causation hurdle. You'd still have to prove, as Greg said a minute ago, you'd still have to prove fault, that venue didn't take the proper precautions. It didn't, sterilize the place. It didn't do proper distancing, so on and so forth. But if you could prove fault and causation, you're on your way. The very last hurdle is you have to show that you actually suffered a serious injury. And fortunately for some people, they won't be able to do that because they'll be mildly ill for a couple of days. But for the people who are seriously injured, they might have a claim.
Gregory, final thought on what should businesses do? What's the level for them in making sure that they're not at fault for anything? Is the level just if you were being careless, then you're in trouble? Or do you have to at least make, good attempts at keeping people safe?
So I think what you've got to do is follow what are either prescribed precautions from the state or some other governmental authority saying this is how social distancing should work. You should do curbside pickup. Don't open up your business. That constitutes, I think, reasonable care under negligence law, under most state law. And in most cases, even if you fail to do that and you infect someone, and we're talking about normal one-shot interactions with customers, you'll be immune from liability simply because they won't be able to identify you. So I think the risks come to the kind of circumstance John was describing, where you're in charge of some kind of event that it's reasonably foreseeable that it is a spreading event, and it turns out to be a spreading event. And then there's going to be immediately a question as to whether or not you should have held the event in the first place. And then John analyzed those considerations very nicely. The only one you'd add to them is the comparative fault of the people who exposed themselves to that event.
Who went to the underground club. Gregory Keating, USC, John Goldberg, Harvard, thanks to you both. This has been KNX In Depth. Afternoon news, minutes away. Let's get you traffic, though. In the meantime, brought to you by Major Surplus. Tom Tran.
Still have a couple of signalers to look out for. The first one, northbound side of the Hollywood Freeway over near Las Virgenes. The number 1 and number 2 lanes are blocked because of a serious crash, and that's got traffic backed up from Parkway Calabasas. Let's check in with Brian Douglas, who's taking a look at the signal alert on the 110.
All northbound lanes shut down, at least hour and a half. Deadly motorcycle crash is the reason why, unfortunately. So big delays all the way back before Harry Bridges. Now, what you can do is exit the freeway, use Wilmington to the east again, or you can use, let's say, Vermont to the west, rejoin up ahead at Sepulveda. That'll put you back on that northbound 110.
Since 1991, Major Surplus is your local source for personal protection equipment, masks, gloves, and emergency food packs. Order at majorsurplus.com and be confident the products you buy are from a dependable source at the lowest possible price online at majorsurplus.com. Majorsurplus.com. Your next report, 2:35. More traffic reports more often. Tom Tran, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Geico has the insurance industry-leading app that lets you manage your policy anytime, anywhere. Which means that Geico is always there for you. If only everyone was always there for you. Like animal control, when you're cornered in your garage by an angry possum.
Hi, me again. You guys said you would be here about an hour ago, and I think the possum is starting to get angry. Listen, I thought if I fed it, it would go away, but now it is ripping holes in the drywall and making some sort of nest. Just call me back.
Geico, always there. With savings and the industry-leading mobile app.
This is your personal information on your laptop. And this is what happens when you connect to the coffee shop Wi-Fi. Or buy something with your smartphone. Your information can ping-pong all over the place and be exposed to cybercriminals. More threats demand more protection. That's why Norton and LifeLock are now part of one company. Norton 360 with LifeLock provides all-in-one membership for your cyber safety that gives you device security, identity theft protection, a VPN for online privacy, and more. No one can prevent all cybercrime and identity theft, but Norton 360 with LifeLock is your ally in today's connected world. After all, your info isn't going to stop bouncing around anytime soon. Sign up today for Norton 360 with LifeLock and save 25% or more off your first year by going to norton.com/join. That's norton.com/join to save 25%.
If you need a new appliance now, the Home Depot has the appliance help you can count on. Download the Home Depot app or visit homedepot.com to search for savings on top brands like Samsung. With ratings and reviews to give you confidence, special buy savings, and free delivery, you'll get the appliances you need without even leaving home. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. Free delivery on purchases of $396 or more. Continental U.S. only.
Doctor's log, held date 2020. Right now, health and medical industries are feeling the pressure of the COVID-19 outbreak. Doctors are feeling that pressure. Nurses are feeling that pressure. I'm definitely feeling that pressure. And so I wanted to capture some of this journey. It's a log of this scary adventure we're all on together. I'm Esther Chu, MD, and this is my doctor's log. Go subscribe on radio.com and wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Southern California's only 24-hour local news and traffic station, KNX 1070 News Radio. Good afternoon. I'm Chris Sedens.
And I'm Brian Ping. Our top local story at 2:30. In-depth team coverage of the coronavirus pandemic. Orange County supervisors will be sending a plan to the state for reopening the beaches at OC for active use only. But it took them a couple of votes to get there.
The board actually rescinded its original vote after Supervisor Don Wagner brought up this point.
The motion was to prepare an active plan. We will vote on that plan next Tuesday when it comes back to us. That was the motion.
Supervisor Lisa Bartlett put forth the motion, and she made it clear that it is directing staff to work with cities so that the county's plan is consistent with theirs and for staff to submit it to the state.
I mean, our only option is keep them closed or to allow for active recreation on a very limited basis and have a responsible plan.
The board ultimately voted 3-2 in favor of submitting the plan to the state. In his daily briefing, Governor Gavin Newsom spoke about working with the county supervisors and hopes for new developments.
In the spirit of collaboration, in the spirit of partnership.
He also announced that the cities of Huntington Beach, Dana Point, and Seal Beach have received approval to begin opening their beaches. Margaret Carrero, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Even as the state looks towards reopening sectors of society, Governor Newsom says there are nearly 1,300 new confirmed cases of coronavirus in California.
What's significant about that is that number is plus or minus in a margin that we've seen over the course of the last number of days. And just over the course of the last number of days, roughly the last 3 days, we've tested just shy of 100,000 people. The good news is total number of positives at 1,275 remain within a margin of error fairly steady despite the significant increase in the total number of tests.
Governor Newsom says hospitalizations and ICU admissions are holding relatively steady as well. The governor says the state has distributed more than $10 billion in unemployment insurance payments since March 15th.
Riverside County officials got an earful on reopening local businesses. They heard passionate debate from dozens of people, even though the issue isn't theirs to decide.
County supervisors all wearing face masks. At issue is whether or not to vote to override the county health officer who has ruled that face masks and physical distancing are requirements in Riverside County until about mid-June. However, many of the people who spoke during public comment wanted supervisors to override the governor's lockdown of California.
I want to be able to do the short-term rentals again. I'm slowly being put out of business. We have to try to return to a new sense of normal.
Clear evidence of the widespread frustration, and nearly everybody who spoke asking about the same thing of the Board of Supervisors, even though the item on the agenda was simply about removing the order for masks and physical distancing in Riverside County. Craig Figner, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Well, the state is giving the green light for stores to reopen at the end of the week. Los Angeles County Public Health Director Dr. Barbara Ferrer says that may not happen so quickly here.
One of the saddest things would be to reopen too quickly, not only see too many deaths and too many hospitalizations, but also have to go back and tell businesses to close again. I think we need to do everything we can to be on a steady, slow path for recovery. That makes sense for LA County.
Dr. Ferrer says there were more than 50 new coronavirus deaths in the last 24 hours, and a total of more than 1,300 people have died from coronavirus in Los Angeles County so far. Nearly 28,000 people have tested positive.
The of coronavirus cases that hit LA's Union Rescue Mission is now easing up, but the head of that organization tells KNX they're now operating under new rules to prevent a second surge.
At one point, there were close to 100 positive cases at the mission among its guests. CEO Andy Bales says it was unlike anything he's ever seen.
75 of those persons who were positive didn't experience any symptoms whatsoever. The painful part is that 25 did have symptoms.
2 people later died from the disease. Bales says the number of positive cases has been dropping steadily in recent days, so much so that they're again accepting former residents to come in to use the mission as shelter, although more and more applicants are being pushed to satellite locations. At this time, there is no schedule for the mission to operate at the levels it had before the pandemic, 1,000 or more people. Instead, levels of about 300 to 400 will be the norm. for at least a while. In downtown LA, Pete Demetrio, KNX 1070 News Radio.
And KNX is your source for continuing in-depth team coverage of the coronavirus crisis. We also have a page devoted to the very latest on the pandemic. You'll find that on our website, knx1070.com/coronavirus.
There's some good news if you need to renew your driver's license or get a new ID. That story in 2 minutes. It's 2:35.
To the freeways now. Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 5s. Here is Tom Tran.
We've got some good news about that earlier signaler down the northbound side of the 101 out in Calabasas. It looks like it's been canceled. Lane's been reopened. Traffic is improving. It's still a little busy from Parkway Calabasas to just about Moreau. Once you get past that, things start to shake free. Let's check in with Brian Douglas, who's taking a look at the other signaler on the 110.
And it's our northbound side, PCH. All northbound lanes shut down here. Deadly motorcycle crash investigation. So you're being forced off on the PCH. I see a lot of you using Figueroa. That is loading up quickly. If you want to go a little further east to Wilmington Boulevard that turns to Main Street, take that to Sepulveda. That'll work. Or you can head west. Take Vermont north up to Sepulveda, and that way you can rejoin the 110 as well. Tom?
Southbound side of the 110 at the 105, got a crash reported here. It looks like a semi and another vehicle off to the side of the road, not causing a big delay quite yet. Earlier slowing on the 710, trying to get down into Long Beach. That has cleared up. It's still on and off the brake pedal from PCH down towards Ocean, but much improved. Your next report, 2:45, with more traffic reports more often. Tom Tran, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Sunny, warm afternoon here in Southern California. We're looking at beach highs, mid-70s, upper 80s inland, getting into the mid-90s in the valley hotspots. Clear skies tonight, 50s and 60s, your overnight lows. Sunny, slightly warmer tomorrow, upper 70s along the coast, 90s inland and valley areas. We'll look at how the rest of the week is shaping up weather-wise. We've got your exclusive 5-day weather forecast coming up in just a few minutes. That's at 2:45. Some temperatures right now, 98 degrees in Chino, Northridge, 95 degrees. Currently fair skies, 87 downtown Los Angeles at 2:37.
A just-released study shows California could save tens of thousands of lives if it sticks with social distancing for a couple of more months. The projection tool from the Santa Monica-based RAND Corporation shows that if the state were to lift all of its lockdown restrictions in early June, 74,000 Californians would die of COVID-19 by the beginning of September. If the lifting happened less than 6 weeks later in mid-July, that number drops by more than 2/3 to 21,000. But there's a catch. The model only goes to September 1st, and the curve hits that date at a sharp upward bend. By all indications, we'd see something around that 74,000 mark sometime later in the fall. RAND economist Jeannie Ringel tells KNX the difference by then is better testing and treatment. In short, social distancing buys us time.
What the interventions do, and by pushing them further out into the future, we're pushing that sort of bump or increase in cases that we might expect to see further into the future.
The projection tool also takes a look at the pandemic's impact on California's economy. If we ended lockdowns in mid-July, the state would lose more than $70 billion in revenue. Even if we ended it all right now, we'd still lose more than $30 billion.
DMV field offices could open as early as sometime this month. The director, Steve Gordon, says he does not know exactly when, but it'll start with appointment-only business and gradually add more. The DMV will also limit both lobby seating and admission to reduce the number of people inside a building at the same time. And driver's tests may resume as early as June under the current plan. Customers also will be required to wear a face mask. We'll be talking to the DMV director this afternoon. We'll let you know what he has to say.
Despite an ambitious effort to get thousands of the most vulnerable homeless people in LA County off the streets during the pandemic, many are still waiting for rooms.
The goal is to lease about 15,000 motel and hotel rooms for elderly homeless people and those with underlying health conditions that put them at risk for serious illness from the virus. Over the past month or so, more than 3,000 rooms have been contracted and more than 1,600 people have been moved in. Another 2,600 people are ready to go, but still waiting for rooms.
The pace that the city and county have been bringing rooms online and then opening them and then filling them has been abysmally slow, appallingly slow.
Shayla Myers with the Legal Aid Foundation of LA and other advocates are calling on LA Mayor Eric Garcetti to commandeer more rooms.
Because there is capacity, I'm convinced that right now we're meeting the need.
Garcetti insists there are enough beds at hotels, motels, and emergency shelters to meet the current demand. Heidi Marston, interim executive director of the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, says the queue of people waiting for a room is very long.
As soon as the site's filled,
they're pretty much staying full. We're not seeing the type of turnover or throughput that we're seeing in our traditional shelter model.
Myers notes San Francisco city attorney has issued a memo saying the mayor, under state and local law, has the authority to commandeer property. LA's city attorney has not put out a memo on the matter. Claudia Pescuta, KNX 1070 News Radio.
A whistleblower complaint has been filed by the vaccine expert who says he was removed from his position at the Health and Human Services Department after he tried to limit controversial COVID-19 treatments.
The complaint filed today says that Dr. Rick Bright was removed as director of the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority soon after the publication of an article about chloroquine. Bright admits in the complaint that he was a source for the story. His lawyers say in the complaint that Dr. Bright wanted to tell the public that there was insufficient scientific data to support the use of the drugs for COVID-19 patients. When government officials refused to react, the complaint said Bright spoke to a journalist. Bill Rakoff, CBS News.
Well, the coronavirus story, it's constantly changing, as you know. We're here for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help you keep up with all the news. Listen to us on your smart speaker. All you have to do is say, Alexa, play KNX 1070. Or, of course, we're on your laptop, KNX1070.com, and, of course, always on the radio, 1070 on the AM dial. At this important time, KNX 1070 News Radio, we're everywhere that you are.
And we're in Harbor City updating a deadly crash investigation affecting the 110 traffic in 4 minutes. It's 2:41.
Let's say you just bought a house. Bad news is, you're one step closer to becoming your parents, which means you're going to start telling your kids to clean up before the cleaning lady comes. Doesn't make sense, but you're the parent and they're the kids. You're going to start telling them that now, too. Good news is, it's easy to bundle home and auto through Progressive and save on your car insurance. And there's your opening to remind them who pays the bills around here. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
This is your personal information on your laptop. And this is what happens when you connect to the coffee shop Wi-Fi. Or buy something with your smartphone. Your information can ping-pong all over the place and be exposed to cybercriminals. More threats demand more protection. That's why Norton and LifeLock are now part of one company. Norton 360 with LifeLock provides all-in-one membership for your cyber safety that gives you device security, identity theft protection, a VPN for online privacy, and more. No one can prevent all cybercrime and identity theft, but Norton 360 with LifeLock is your ally in today's connected world. After all, your info isn't going to stop bouncing around anytime soon. Sign up today for Norton 360 with LifeLock and save 25% or more off your first year by going to norton.com/join. That's norton.com/join to save 25%.
Life has changed almost overnight.
Yeah, you have a lot of questions. We are going to try to get you some answers. I'm Mike Simpson.
And I'm Charles Feldman. Together, we host Coronavirus Daily, a podcast designed to help us all get through this crisis together.
We go around the world and talk to some of the top experts out there. So think of this as a guide for you and your family. Multiple ways to listen: radio.com, the radio.com app, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher.
Remember, that's Coronavirus Daily.
Did you know you can actually pause and rewind live radio? Yeah, that's a thing. It's radio.com Rewind. Here's how it works. If you're listening to this station and you missed something, it's easy to go back in time. Just go to the bottom of your screen and slide up the rewind banner. Scroll to the left to go back to previous hours. Just pick the purple card for the hour you want and press play. Simple. Pick any hour in the last 24. Make missing important news a distant memory. Listen to what you want when you want with radio.com Rewind. So you just tuned in. Did you miss something? Came in the middle of a sentence? Or a show? That's unfortunate. That's why there's radio.com Rewind. Talk about convenient. You can rewind this station up to 24 hours back. No matter what you missed, it's still there. Just go to the bottom of your screen and click the rewind button. Then pick the hour you want and you're instantly there. Listen to what you want when you want with radio.com Rewind. Radio.com Rewind.
This is Southern California's only 24-hour local news and traffic station, KNX 1070 News Radio. Depend on us.
Good afternoon. It's 2:44. I'm Chris Sedens.
And I'm Brian Ping. Stories coming up.
A rare children's disease linked to the coronavirus. I'm Charles Feldman with that.
More Orange County cities work out a deal with the state over reopening beaches.
I'm Bloomberg's Mona Rivera. Disney's latest earnings report is out. That story is coming up in 5 minutes.
These stories more in the next 15 minutes. Right now it is 2:45. Let's hit the freeways again. Your traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 5s. Here's Tom Tran.
We're going to go right to Brian Douglas, who's got eyes on this problem on the 110 in the Harbor area.
This is our northbound side at PCH. All lanes still shut down until at least 4 o'clock. A deadly motorcycle crash investigation. That's what's working here now. Backed up to about Harry Bridges. Again, what you can do is use Wilmington and Maine, Vermont, any of those alternates up to Sepulveda. Rejoin the freeway that way. Although it looks like up ahead northbound about Carson Street, we've got some metal debris in the middle lane. Your southbound side just getting word of a crash now at Sepulveda off to the right. Tom?
110 going southbound at Figueroa. We do have a crash here blocking the number 5 and 6 lanes. Southbound side of the 5 at Vista del Lago. We also have two semi-trucks and a sedan involved in a crash. No injuries being reported right now. Police and emergency crews are responding to this accident. Your next report, 2:55. More traffic reports more often. I'm Tom Tran, KNX 1070 News Radio.
We've been talking about this for the last few days. The significant warm-up continues, and temperatures today even hotter than yesterday. 5 to 15 degrees warmer, in fact. For some areas, we could top out in the mid to upper 90s by the afternoon, and then by tomorrow even hotter. So we're looking at mid-70s for the coast, upper 80s for LA and Orange County Metro, mid-90s for the valleys and also for the Inland Empire, low 90s for the high deserts, mid-70s for the mountains. We do have a heat advisory for portions of Orange County and the Inland Empire from now through the end of the week, and then we also have an excessive heat warning now for the low deserts from now through Friday night. By the time we head into Wednesday and Thursday, we could even see temperatures breaking. We slowly start to cool as that high pressure system breaks down by the end of the week, and some of that sea breeze moves in by the weekend. With Southern California's most accurate and dependable forecast, I'm CBS 2 meteorologist Amber Lee for KNX 1070 News Radio.
It is warm out there right now, 98 degrees in Chino. We have got, 88 degrees along the coast in Long Beach, currently 87. Downtown Los Angeles at 247.
A rare children's illness may be linked to a COVID-19 infection.
The illness is called Kawasaki disease, an inflammation of the blood vessels. Some 15 children hospitalized in New York City came down with the syndrome. The health department there says it may be associated with the coronavirus.
We're seeing more and more reports that first started in Europe and England, and now we're seeing in New York.
Daniel Gangin is a pediatrician at Providence St. John's Health Center in Santa Monica.
So we have to keep an eye out now for Kawasaki by doing some more testing and being a little bit more vigilant of it.
None of the hospitalized New York children has died. Charles Feldman, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Well, 2 new studies about kids and the coronavirus suggest that schools should be kept closed for now. In one, a team analyzed data from 2 cities in China, Shanghai and Wuhan, where the virus, of course, first emerged. They found that children were about a third as susceptible to coronavirus infection as adults were. But when schools were open, they found that the children had about 3 times as many contacts as adults and 3 times as many opportunities to become infected. The second study by a group of German researchers tested children and adults. It found that children who tested positive carried just as much virus as adults did, sometimes more, and so presumably were just as infectious. Neither study is definitive, but both strongly suggest that children can play a key role in transmitting coronavirus.
Troubled business owners in California are trying to sort out what's coming next.
It's been a very tough time for the store owners and restaurant owners on Main Street in El Segundo.
At least 75% down on their business, just like the hotels are down more than 80%.
Bill Ruane is a well-known local realtor. He says people went along with everything, initially anyway.
This is what we need to do. This is what we have to do to get through the coronavirus.
But after weeks of being pretty much shut down, some have been thinking it might be time, or is it?
We're just trying to survive, basically. So we're getting a little antsy.
Jackson Kalb is the owner of James Enoteca, a full-service restaurant in town. He's been trying to figure things out.
100 times a day I go back and forth on what the right answer is. I think money isn't very valuable if we're all dead.
Yes, of course, he'd like to get his business back on track, although he knows he has to weigh the risk to himself and everybody else as well.
Look, I just don't want to be the hand that's responsible directly or indirectly for hurting someone in any way.
A lot of questions to ask, some tough choices ahead for the business owners. John Baird, KNX 1070 News Radio.
People have been buying up flour from grocery stores since all the stay-at-home orders went into effect. Carrie Underwood with King Arthur Flour tells KNX it's not panic buying by people, simply stocking up. She says people are baking a lot more since they've been stuck at home, especially baking bread.
And bread uses a lot of flour. And so, with more people baking bread than ever, I mean, you've probably heard people talking about sourdough. Everyone's learned how to bake sourdough bread, and that just uses, when you're baking a loaf of bread, it uses a lot of flour.
She says there's plenty of wheat in this country, but it takes time for mills to turn it into flour, so they're boosting production to try and meet the increased demand. 2:50 now on KNX. Let's get a live look at your money. Here is Mona Rivera.
Chris and Brian, the Bulls, they were in charge for a second straight day as investors focused on oil prices rising and economies reopening. The Dow gained 133 points to finish 0.5% higher. The S&P rose nearly, added 1.1%. Oil futures gained more than 20%. From Disney, which released earnings after the bell, its TV and streaming services did well, but revenue from theme parks and cruises crashed. Profit in the most recent quarter for the world's largest entertainment company plunged by more than half. Airbnb hit hard by the collapse in travel. That 1,900 of them will be laid off. That's 25% of the workforce. Lord & Taylor plans to reopen stores when it's possible to do so, but only long enough for going out of business sales. Reuters reports the chain has lined up specialists to help stores liquidate. We check your money at 20 and 50 after each hour. I'm Bloomberg's Mona Rivera from the HMS Capital Money Desk, KNX 1070 News Radio.
The Peacock gets rocked. That story and another check of your roadways in 2 minutes. It's 2:51.
During this crisis, your smart speaker is your connection to the information you need. Just ask Alexa.
Play KNX 1070. Playing KNX 1070 News Radio from radio.com.
They're also hoping that new tests can provide faster.
You'll instantly get updates on the information you need to keep you and your family safe. Stay connected to KNX 1070 News Radio. Depend on us.
It's Jane, and if you're a parent at home with kids who you're trying to keep off their devices, we need to talk about KiwiCo. KiwiCo is hands-on art and science projects delivered to your doorstep. Seriously, they can blast off a bottle rocket, explore colorful, kid-friendly chemistry, and more, all from the comfort of home. Everything you need to make STEM seriously fun, delivered monthly to your doorstep. Get to kiwico.com/local today to save 30% on your first month. That's KIWICO.com/local.
This is your personal information on your laptop. And this is what happens when you connect to the coffee shop Wi-Fi. Or buy something with your smartphone. Your information can ping-pong all over the place and be exposed to cybercriminals. More threats demand more protection. That's why Norton and LifeLock are now part of one company. Norton 360 with LifeLock provides all-in-one membership for your cyber safety that gives you device security, identity theft protection, a VPN for online privacy, and more. No one can prevent all cybercrime and identity theft, but Norton 360 with LifeLock is your ally in today's connected world. After all, your info isn't going to stop bouncing around anytime soon. Sign up today for Norton 360 with LifeLock and save 25% or more off your first year by going to norton.com/join. That's norton.com/join to save 25%.
And now, a page from the diary of Flo.
Dear Diary, I got the brush off again. I don't get it. Is there something wrong with the way I wave? Elbow, wrist, elbow, wrist. Why won't that little basset hound acknowledge me? I'm friendly. I give everyone peace of mind when I protect their homes through Progressive. He should be jumping for joy when I walk by.
Save an average of 17% on car insurance when you bundle home and auto through Progressive.
Maybe it's me. No, it's him.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
We still got a big delay because of a SIG alert on the 110 in Harbor City. Traffic just 2 minutes away. It's 2:53.
NBC News is being investigated for alleged sexual harassment, retaliation, and gender discrimination among high-level executives. Variety is reporting that NBC News chief Andrew Lack, former Hardball host Chris Matthews, and other newsroom staff members are being questioned about their behavior. Former NBC News employee Megan Kelly, one of the witnesses reportedly cooperating with the investigation by the New York Attorney General's office. Investigators are also zeroing in on whether there was any retaliation against NBC's own journalists who reported on assault and misconduct allegations against Matt Lauer and Harvey Weinstein.
Federal authorities are suing a married couple formerly of Laguna Niguel who were involved in a multi-million-dollar insider trading scheme. The Securities and Exchange Commission is seeking repayment. It accuses the couple, who now live in China, of making $8.5 million 4 years ago by trading in securities of Sagent Pharmaceuticals in advance of the company's acquisition. The SEC says the couple got information from a neighbor and used accounts of relatives in China to make the trades. Governor Newsom blasts some California counties that are defying his lockdown order. You'll hear what he had to say. With much more coming up at the top of the hour. It's 2:55.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the fives. This update is sponsored by Media Partners Worldwide. Here is Tom Tran.
We're going to go right to Brian Douglas, who's taking a list at this SIG alert over on the 110.
It's our northbound side of PCH. All lanes still blocked. It's a deadly crash investigation. Supposed to continue till about 4 o'clock. So big delays now. Back to Harry Bridges. If you're leaving San Pedro, use Gaffey. Take that up to Vermont. That's a great alternate. A little heavy, though, as you come up to Sepulveda. Otherwise, you can use Figueroa, which is heavy. I'd actually recommend going a little further east. Use Washington Boulevard that turns to Main Street, then take Sepulveda back to the freeway. Tom?
We have a new SIG alert. This one just popped up along the 405 going southbound. This happened just past Seal Beach Boulevard. It looks like we've got the number 1 lane blocked. It's going to be closed until at least, looks like 3:30. Police and emergency crews are responding now, but slowing starts back at the 605. Time to get back to work. Let Media Partners Worldwide stimulate your business with digital TV and radio advertising. Call 800-579-3031. That's 800-579-3031. Your next report, 3:05. More traffic reports more often. Tom Tran, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Let's take a look at our Southern California weather forecast, and it's a good one. Sunshine today, warm weather, very comfortable out there. Mid-70s the beaches, and in fact, we're seeing some beach areas getting into the 80s as well. Upper 80s inland, the forecast calls for mid-90s as your highs today in the valleys. Clear skies tonight with overnight lows 50s and 60s. Slightly warmer again tomorrow. The forecast calls for upper 70s at the beaches, 90s for both inland and valley areas. Let's take a look at some temperatures around Southern California right now. Chino right now, closing in on 100 degrees, 98 there right now. We've got Torrance at 79. So cool and comfortable by comparison. Currently 87 degrees downtown Los Angeles.
The beef apocalypse is taking its toll on a major burger chain. That story and more coming up in 3 minutes. It's 2:57.
If you need a new appliance now, the Home Depot has the appliance help you can count on. Download the Home Depot app or visit homedepot.com to search for savings on top brands like Samsung. With ratings and reviews to give you confidence, special buy savings, and free delivery, you'll get the appliances you need without even leaving home. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. Free delivery on purchases of $396 or more. Continental U.S. only.
This is your personal information on your laptop. And this is what happens when you connect to the coffee shop Wi-Fi. Or buy something with your smartphone. Your information can ping-pong all over the place and be exposed to cybercriminals. More threats demand more protection. That's why Norton and LifeLock are now part of one company. Norton 360 with LifeLock provides all-in-one membership for your cyber safety that gives you device security, identity theft protection, a VPN for online privacy, and more. No one can prevent all cybercrime and identity theft, but Norton 360 with LifeLock is your ally in today's connected world. After all, your info isn't going to stop bouncing around anytime soon. Sign up today for Norton 360 with LifeLock and save 25% or more off your first year by going to norton.com/join. That's norton.com/join to save 25%.
Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive's #1, #2 employee. Leave a message at the... Hey, Jamie, it's me, Jamie. This is your daily pep talk. I know it's been rough going ever since people found out about your a cappella group, Mad Harmony, but you will bounce back. I mean, you're the guy always helping people find coverage options with the Name Your Price tool. It should be you giving me the pep talk. Now get out there, hit that high note, and take Mad Harmony all the way to nationals this year. Sorry, it's pitchy.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Woke up late and missed dialing into the professor's lecture? Not rewindable. Whatever. 20 minutes late dialing into the important conference call? Oops. Not rewindable. The station you're listening to now on radio.com? Very rewindable. Radio.com Rewind lets you rewind this station up to 24 hours back. You won't miss anything ever again, or at least on radio.com. Just go to the bottom of your screen and click the rewind button. Listen to what you want when you want with radio.com Rewind.
The news you need now more than ever from the people you trust. Southern California's only 24-hour news and traffic station. KNX, KRTH FM HD2 Los Angeles. KNX 1070 News Radio. Depend on us.
Coming up, it's our top local story. Orange County and the state move closer to a deal over beaches.
Plus, the governor blasts 2 counties he says are opening up too fast.
Los Angeles County reports more than 50 new coronavirus deaths. These stories, plus your traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 5s. It all follows CBS Network News at the top of the hour. It's 3 o'clock.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez in upstate New York. They've become familiar faces during the pandemic, but President Trump says his White House team will be disbanding soon.
The president says the coronavirus task force has done a phenomenal job, but he says it's time to wind it down to focus more on reopening.
We'll have a different group probably set up for that.
Vice President Pence says he aims to have the task force complete its work by early next month, with agencies taking the lead after that. Dr. Anthony Fauci told CBS News he wasn't aware of any plans to end the group's regular White House meetings. The president says Fauci and Dr. Deborah Birx will both continue to be involved in the federal response. Stephen Portnoy, CBS News, Washington.
The president did not wear a mask on a visit to a Honeywell plant in Phoenix today to thank workers making face masks. He did wear goggles. Barbershops, hair and nail salons will be able to open in Texas Friday, but Governor Greg Abbott says they'll have to follow new guidelines.
1 customer per stylist, unless the individual is waiting for service. You can only wait inside if they maintain social distancing of at least 6 feet from others.
Gyms and office buildings in Texas will be able to open May 18th. The same day Wendy's restaurants started running out of burgers, Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb announced his state is working with federal partners and individual companies to ensure meat processing plants are safe and able to operate.
Making sure that we're doing all that we can to keep that food supply up. So we've been working with our federal partners, working with the individual companies to make sure that they are safe.
He says he expects Tyson and Cass County to be up and running again sometime in the near future. An expert on agriculture economics at Kansas State says he won't be surprised if meat prices increase 20% in grocery stores this month. Republicans in the Senate say they will continue to take a wait-and-see attitude about the possibility of more coronavirus relief money. Louisiana's Anthony Kennedy.
I think, number one, we've already appropriated a lot of money. I think at this juncture it's appropriate to step back and see what's working and what's not.
One airline is planning deep cuts because of coronavirus losses. Correspondent Chris Van Cleve.
United Airlines expects to cut at least 30% of its management and administrative jobs in October, and until then, those non-union staffers will be asked to take 20 days without pay. This, according to a company memo sent to employees Monday, warning travel demand was basically zero.
This is CBS News.
These are challenging times, and Rocket Mortgage is prepared to help. If you need mortgage assistance, contact their team 24/7 at rocketmortgage.com. Rocket Mortgage is with you.
This is Southern California's only 24-hour local news and traffic station, KNX 1070 News Radio. I'm Mike Simpson.
And I'm Brian Ping. Our top local story at 3:03, in-depth team coverage of the coronavirus pandemic. After sending its initial vote, Orange County's Board of Supervisors again voted 3-2 in favor of sending a plan for the use of its beaches for the governor's approval.
One of 2 to vote against it both times was Supervisor Don Wagner.
It is absurd to me, as I said when making the point of order, that we would, on such a contentious issue, cede to staff the ability to write policy.
Supervisor Doug Chafee voted both times in favor of the motion.
The policy here is coming from the board,
that we open our beaches for active use consistent with the host cities in which the beaches are located. That's the policy.
He went on to say that he was concerned they were depriving people the use of their beaches until they take action. The plan would be similar to that of other cities, opening beaches for activities such as walking, running, or surfing, but not sunbathing. Governor Gavin Newsom addressed the matter in his daily briefing, announcing commitments with 3 other cities regarding protocols and procedures.
With Huntington Beach, Dana Point, and Seal Beach. So those are opening back up as well.
The governor also signaled hope for new developments at the county level. Margaret Carrero, KNX 1070 News Radio.
So Orange County and the state working out some differences. It's a different story in Northern California. Yuba and Sutter counties letting businesses like hair salons reopen. People can eat inside the restaurants. So here's the governor again.
They're making a big mistake. They're putting their public at risk. They're putting our progress at risk. We've been clear about that, well aware of those examples. These are exceptions. These are real exceptions. The overwhelming majority of Californians are playing by the rules, doing the right thing.
The governor says the number of new confirmed cases holding relatively steady despite a big increase in the number of people being tested.
San Diego County is preparing to loosen business restrictions on some retail stores in conjunction with the state on Friday. County supervisors unanimously voted to adopt a framework that includes guidelines on employee and customer safety, sanitation, and physical distancing. The county has more than 4,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus and 144 deaths. A Disney theme park's about to reopen, but it's a long way away from our shores. That story in 2 minutes. It's 3:05.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 5s. And here's Denise Fondo.
We've got a SIG alert on the 405, and this is southbound before the 22 in Seal Beach. Your 2 left lanes are blocked, and you've got a backup almost to about the 6.